Hello, 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 and welcome to the Impact Podcast. Hi, guys.
Hello.
Hi, guys. We have a friend here. As you can see, we have a guest, and today we are going to be talking to the Becky Mitchell, right? Say Mitchell, right? Because
Yes.
if you look at the name, this is why we have to ask people how to properly pronounce their name because names are important and they are a part of our identity. So it is not Michael because that's what I thought. It is Becky
Right.
Mitchell, and she is the creator of Fearless Growth. Of course, we have Dr. Obiama Martin with us today, and our girl Damaris is with us. She is being amazing, showing up for her family, and so we're going to hold it down today while we talk to Becky. So we're going to jump right in because today we're talking about empowerment, right? Empower your team, empower success. But here's what we learned right before we got on. We learned that she's already famous, but she's about to be more famous because she has an agent and everything. And guess what, guys? Not only is she fearless, but she's an actress. She's an so so here's what I was hoping we could do before we get into talking. I'm trying to set up a scene. Obiama, let's set up a scene so that Becky can get into actress mode. So
Sure, here's the scene. You know, I stay ready. Here's the scene. So, you walk into a public place and you see a person being attacked. You see a person being attacked, and you want to do something, but you're really not sure, and you're kind of conscious and unconscious all at the same time of your surroundings. And so, but you want to somehow distract this person from being abused to stop the abuse from happening.
that's good.
Okay. Listen, when I get scared, I get mad. So I probably would say some things I don't know if I should, I probably shouldn't say on here. So if I see somebody getting attacked, I might be like, get off of them and like just start going after them.
Oh, you're jumping into that's the fearlessness. That's the fearlessness
Yeah.
that comes in and then got you. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh,
So here's the thing though, right? When we talk about fearless growth, in that moment, you probably it sounds like you go into maybe your alter ego.
yeah. Yeah.
Because right now you appear to be very docile, right? Very quiet, very like I'm a mind my business, not really aggressive. But then
Yeah.
when you see somebody, being harmed or taken advantage of, then the fearless Becky
Yes.
come out and you go into fight mode. Like,
Yes, I do.
yeah, you become superhuman.
Yes, I do. And I've done that when it's not healthy, not such in such an unhealthy way also. So there can be a healthy way and then also there can be you can take it to the other extreme. So
Well, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Tell us. Tell us
so
about the unhealthy part of it.
so I think when you respond to something like that in an unhealthy way, it's more like an attack, fight or flight. Sometimes I can do both. I can swing to fight and I can also swing to flight. So I kind of retract. And I think there's a balance. It's super hard to find, but you got to find a balance where you're not doing either one of those. So while sometimes that's a good thing, in the moments, in the some of the moments are right where you should just like back off or you should just fight, like stand up for yourself. But then there's other times when, like I said, mine has been um fear. Like when I get scared, I get worked up. And so I kind of go into that mode. So I have to um I I'm trying to be consciously aware of that and keep my cool the best I can. So,
And
So
you know
what?
what it made me think of too? Because I just learned, I've always heard of fight or flight, but I've just
mhm.
learned about freeze, fight, flight,
Yes.
or freeze. And I've
Yeah.
learned that, so I am not confrontational.
Mhm.
Usually I will like remove myself. I also, right, if you're not going to back me into a corner, but depending on the situation, I might freeze and I have nothing to say. And
Yeah.
I'm just learning that though. I'm just
Yeah.
learning that that's one of my mechanism, my safety mechanisms.
Mhm.
And exactly what you said is like, okay, being conscious of what's happening at that moment. And then
Yeah.
I feel like in that actual moment, I don't see or hear anybody else. It's kind of like this everything you know, I beg, kids, it's like because I'm like this, I think you can't see me. I can't see
Yeah.
you. Like it's
Yeah.
you can't see me because I
If
am
I close
totally.
my eyes.
Yep, and you can't see me either. But
Yeah.
I did just learn that was, like a protective mechanism, and yeah, navigating that. Like, what is it, and where did that come from, too?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
it sounds like you black out, but you're unaware that you black out, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
And so that can be the unhealthy part of it, because once you lose consciousness of your surroundings, you can't protect yourself or anyone else. And that's the unhealthy part of it that I'm hearing you're saying, Becky. And the balance of it, the dance, because for me, and this is so important in this conversation, especially, and I can't wait for you to tell us the fearless growth part of it, because for me, thinking about where I've come from and always coming from the perspective of the cavalry isn't coming, right? So for me, since the cavalry isn't coming, nobody is coming to save me. Some people say like your fist is always balled. So I'm always not always, historically, because I'm not that anymore. Historically, I
Yes.
used to be in the fight, right, position all the time. And I found the balance. And the balance for me was learning how to pause and pray.
Yeah. Yeah.
That right, that was the balance. The balance was just really pausing, taking the breath, right, so that you can regulate, because hormones, your heart, all of these, so much is going on in our minds, and our heart is, beating fast, and we all of this is going on, and so to your point, the fight, the flight, the freeze, and when you're in that space, how do you transition so that it's healthy? And I love this because it shows up in all of our lives and all of the things, whether it's in business, whether it's in a social atmosphere, whether it's in a community atmosphere, and and all these different things. And something happened earlier today, and then Becky, I'm going to turn it over to you. But this conversation is so timely because I was doing a anyway. I was somewhere earlier today, and the person, my client, came in. She was on the phone, and she went from being her cheery self to immediately went into this very sad place and started crying. And so the energy, right, got extremely heavy. And I said, "What's wrong?" And so she immediately started going into fear based on the information from the phone call that was concerning a loved one.
Hmm.
And the fear was that this loved one was not safe, and that there was nothing she could do in the moment where she physically was to try to save her, protect her, or anything. And so that fear started, coming up, and it would have distracted her from having a productive day, because her mindset was on, oh my God, my so and so, I hope she's okay. And then the person on the other side of the call kept calling her saying, "Did you hear? Did you hear? I'm concerned." So I immediately said to her, "I need you to detach and
Mm-hmm.
let's pray, because whatever is going on, you can't physically be there. And this person is causing you more anxiety and fear. So what I need you to do the next time this person call is say, let's pray. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to pray with you right now, because you can't be savior. You can't be savior, but what you can do is send the word.
Mm-hmm.
You can
That's
send the
good.
word. You can do that. And so we did that. Then the person called back and it was better news. And then she called back 2 more times and it was better news. But because I had already stabilized, my client by saying, listen, I need you to detach because there's nothing you can do. We prayed, we sent the word, because guess what? Prayer going to do what we can't do. And so in those
Man.
situations, even when we feel like we're unsafe, or somebody could potentially harm us, like, we really have to tap into that superpower. And the fearlessness comes in that knowing I'm protected, even when it doesn't look like I'm protected. I'm protected because I'm gonna park it right there. I'm about to
Yeah. That's
go ahead,
good.
Becky.
You're on fire. Just go.
He's ready to
Lead a
go.
fire walk.
Well, I know I had a question, right? I have a question. And thinking of what you said, I have a question, Becky, because I can imagine all of us being as fearless as we are in our everyday lives and who we are. We have a lot of people around us. And I thought about it as you were speaking, right? Because I'm like, well, why she keep answering the phone? Was my call. But in our fearlessness, sometimes I'm always the answer. So I got the answer because I'm the fearless one. They're calling me for the answers or for me to remedy. So we answer the call. But not just for her, for us. Why do we answer
Yes.
the call? Why would you say, many of us answer the call of being the fearless one, even in the moments when we may not have it to give?
For myself, I feel like it's a commitment. It kind of goes back to that consciously aware state. You know, um, I feel I feel a responsibility, and I feel and it's also a privilege. Like, I'm so honored. Like, why would God pick me? Why would God use me? I'm nothing, but I do know this. I know that because I have dealt with so much fear in my life, that is the journey he's had for me. And that's how I'm able to help other people with it, by pushing through fears, getting outside my comfort zone, living outside my comfort zone. I wouldn't be here in New York if I didn't live outside my comfort zone every day. So I've had to live out the message that God gave me. And sometimes that's been super hard. So for me, it's like, yeah, it's, I feel it's an honor, a privilege. But I just, I have a great responsibility to do that. So, how about you guys?
Well, so before I respond, how did you go from being fearful to fearless?
I would say that I'm still on that journey. And I don't know that we will never have a time in our life that we don't have fear. But and it's not about that, but it's about not giving it power. So that when I used to give it power, I feel like I was in a place, and you mentioned this with the person that was calling her friend, and it makes such a big difference who we have around us and who we spend time with, because um, I it can either harm or it can help. So as I would go through the beginning stages of this process, I noticed a lot of people around me were very fearful. And in fact, to the point that they were unwilling to live outside their comfort zone, to maybe chase a dream, maybe try something different. God has spoke, and I'm sure you guys can say the same thing, attest to this, but God has spoke so many things to me that just seemed so weird to everyone around me, and it's not that they were wrong, like they were they were just scared. They were fearful. They wanted me to be okay, and they thought, some people thought, oh my gosh, she's went off the deep end. She's going to New York. You know, people from Missouri sometimes don't want to go to New York, and I understand that. But you know, I am me. God made me how He did, and just like you guys, and we're special, and He gives us each all these different things to carry out and carry on for Him. You know, so it's exciting.
And I love
Sorry.
how you, no, it's okay. I love how you ended it off with it's exciting because that's what I was thinking about. I think sometimes we use the word fear so much, like we just put fear on it. It's fear. And I remember reading, oh my gosh, it was on the Mel Robbins book, The 5 Second Rule,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
her talking about shifting it, like, oh my gosh, I'm so changing the energy. It's like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited before going on the stage, even though it's like, oh my gosh, it could
Yes.
easily be said, I'm so scared, but it's like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, I'm so excited, I'm about to go out here and kill, right? And like changing the energy. Um,
Yes.
we started talking about fear, and then you ended it off with, I'm so excited. And it's
Yeah.
this mindset game sometimes where it's like, even if we dig deeper, and I'm probably talking to myself here, and if you guys resonate, it's awesome. But if we dig deeper and ask ourselves, like, what are we scared of? Sometimes we really can figure out what that is, because sometimes it's just like, just because I've never done it before, okay,
Hmm.
well, I'm about to see what it looks like, right? And so
Yeah.
sometimes that can help us jump in there, because surely Becky is in New York, right? And it's like you're in New York, so now you could go back to all of those who are like, oh my gosh, you were going to New York. Yeah, you guys should have. Let me tell you all about
Yeah.
what New York, right? And sometimes it's just the unknown. And I just wonder if
Yeah.
we find replacement words for fear, because it may be something.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
For sure.
yeah.
I use that. I do use I'm excited, which I really am excited now, because I also think you know, after you say it and feel it a lot, then it becomes that, you know. So I actually just text a few people and said I'm living my best life, um, on a subway, going through Harlem on and looking at trashy sidewalks, or I don't know, something like that. And I'm like, but I'm laughing. And I'm really, because I do love New York. But yeah, I think it's definitely words play a big part in that. So perspective, perspective.
What's really exciting also is that even with starting a business, so whether it's going from Missouri to New York or going from a 9 to 5 to becoming a free agent, if you will, you know, you're launching into the unknown. And when I think about fearless growth, it's really, and I say this all the time, especially to entrepreneurs, starting your own business is faith. There's no
Yes.
way you can be an entrepreneur without faith. Like it does not exist, because we don't know when a contract is going to end. We don't know when somebody is not going to pay. So you have to have faith that they're going to pay, or you're going to figure it out, because God is going to give you the wisdom. He's going to give you the grace. He's going to give you, you know, something. And so we get too comfortable and complacent with a false security of a paycheck.
Yes.
Because I've also worked for individuals who was supposed to pay, but because of their own mismanagement of funds, the payroll was short many times. And so we're quick and when I say we, I don't mean the three of us. I mean, you know, in general, we're quick to say, oh, my job, as if the job is the real source. But you have to have faith that the people that's cutting the check is going to pay you.
Right.
So
Right.
all of it is perception. All of it is
Yes.
perspective. All of it, when we think about it in totality, the mindset and the energy that we place in things, because we compartmentalize what we choose to be afraid of,
Yes.
right?
Yes, we do. Yep.
Right. So fear is a choice. And so for me, I really fear snakes. Even though I know that some snakes are harmless, I still fear snakes because of what I've been conditioned to believe based on what I've seen on television.
Right.
So, because my fear doesn't come from being bitten by a snake. I've never been bitten by a snake. My fear comes from what I've been conditioned through somebody else's vision on TV
Yes.
for me to believe that, oh, a venomous snake is going to bite me, or it's going to choke me, or it's going to swallow me up, right? And that's going to be the death of me, when the reality is that that's never going to happen, because I'm not going to put myself, right, in no place to be with an anaconda that's going to eat me.
Right.
Right?
But it's amazing how,
But a garden snake creeps me out, even though I know a garden snake is not going to bite me, right? But
I
mindset.
get you. I get you. Same, sis, same. Yeah.
Yeah, it's bugs for me. It's bugs for me. I'm sorry. It's like
But isn't it amazing how it just can manifest itself to a point like that? You may never go outside the house. Like I knew a girl and she did not go outside of her house because all of these fears had built up from getting germs or having a car wreck, or just so many that she was scared to leave the house. And I thought, oh, that's that's sad. That would be super stressful to have that much fear built up.
And there's actually a lot of people amongst us that have that type of fear.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
you're
much
probably,
fear.
yeah. Yeah, you are probably right. Just sitting here, I was thinking about my probably biggest fear. Well, I have a real FOMO, fear of missing out. So I call it the shiny object syndrome. So I have to, again, be consciously aware enough to stop myself. And sometimes I don't do it as quickly as I should, but hey, it's a journey. It's a growth journey, right? That's all of life. But I also had just a lot of fear of people and what they thought. And I had to work really intentionally at that to let some of that go. So that was probably my biggest one was what people thought. And um yeah, fear of the unknown. I think everyone has that, though, struggles with that. So
and you know what I was thinking about, definitely Obiama, when you were talking about the 9 to 5, and going to work for yourself and relying on a paycheck. And I remember, if you guys have heard of this, tell me if I'm getting it wrong, but I remember seeing a quote with the bird on a tree, and it really was saying the bird is never fearful of the branch breaking because they trust in their own wings. And sometimes our fear, though, is we're putting too much trust in someone else. But it's like, okay, right, you may lose a
yeah.
job and maybe that thing doesn't come through, but I trust in me so much. I know I got me.
Yes.
I know I got me. And so
Yes.
I wonder
Yes.
if we, I
Good.
wonder if we kind of focus on putting that trust more in, right, trust in God and having faith, because right, that faith right there will get you, a lot farther than even trust and faith in myself. But if we just trust ourselves more, um maybe we'll have a little less fear, and can really approach situations differently, because I know I got me. And it's nice to have the other people around me,
That's good.
but she
That's
got her.
good.
Yeah. So Aaliyah, I want to say I was first introduced to that probably um, through CTTP, probably through CTTP, and one of the things that Lisa Nichols teaches and she says, and I really have fearless growth. That's where I went from being unconsciously competent to being consciously competent in that area. I didn't realize how much I trusted my get up, because I've been an entrepreneur since I was a teenager, but there are so many things that I've done out of default because the cavalry wasn't coming, that I didn't know that I had those muscles. I didn't know those
Yeah.
muscles were there. It was just kind of like, I've lived in survival for so long. I didn't know that I was building, right, my muscles to fly along the way. So even if nothing is underneath me, I trust my get up.
Yes. That's
Yeah.
awesome. I love it. I love it.
But that's the part. But that's the part. Like for me, when I think about becoming fearless, it's really us, you, me, we getting into a place where we've put so much investment into building our muscles that we get to the place where we trust our get up, not somebody giving us a handout, not somebody giving us a hand up, but we've
Yes.
invested so much in us that we get to a place where we trust our get up, because
Yes.
we
Yes.
understand who we are and whose we are, and because of who we are, our get up muscle becomes that much
Yes.
more stronger.
Yes. Bring it. Yes. That's good. That's good. I
This
love
is a
it.
gr- and I feel like we're all talking in our newer space of fearless growth. I think, I think that's where all this is coming from. Because a year ago, you may have gotten a different answer. I don't know what you would have got. But
That's
but while
awesome.
we're on that, I want to make sure that we're clear about, right, you're the creator of fearless growth. Can you tell us about fearless growth according to Becky Mitchell?
Sure. So, let's see, about 12 years ago, I was in a really stuck place, and God speaking to me. And, everybody's journey is different. I love that part. That's exciting. I love how He just will talk to you, each one of us, Obiama and Aaliyah and me, and whoever is listening, like He will talk to you in just the way that you need Him to. And I love that part. But He just started speaking some things to me and showing me that some of the things that I did were not okay. And actually, God said, I have something for you to do, but I can't use you how you are. So I need you to change. And that was the day I began my fearless growth journey. And I didn't have a clue what I was doing, but I just took it one step at a time. And I began to, like, I wrote this whole program, and then I began to live it, but I didn't believe it. So a long time went by before, like, what you just said is it. Like, to be able to know who you are and in whose you are. Like, God has got me, and it just took a long time. It took a long time to get to that place. So, and again, it's part of the journey. So whoever's listening to this, don't be ashamed or embarrassed of it, because everybody has to walk that. You got to walk your journey out. So, um, yeah. So today, it looks a lot different than I thought it was going to be, but I was going through it myself. And now I'm able to help other people go through it, and just show them how to get rid, to get real, meaning it's get real, get rid, and get going. It's real simple. And I keep it simple because I need simple. So, but to get real is just being honest, a self evaluation of honesty. And like, what I've learned in my life is so many people are not even willing to do that. That's too hard. It's too scary. Like, oh gosh, I may have to make some really massive changes or lose some relationships or set some boundaries. And, ooh, that's too scary. I can't do it. So that's the first step. Second step is getting rid of those things. I call it just all the crap that doesn't serve you. Um, and then get going and get on with what God has for you. He says to occupy until he comes. So I think that we should be doing that. And um, yeah, I'm just living out to, shutting up the fear, shut the fear up, crushing the shame, and getting on with it. So that's
I love that.
basically what it
I love
is.
that. Get
That's
real,
good.
get rid.
Yes,
Wait a minute. Get real, get rid, and get going. I
Yeah.
I
love that. Yes.
I like that.
Yeah.
You're so right, especially about the rid part, right? To get rid of. Even when you said like I got, guys like I got something for you, but you got to
Yeah.
change some things. It's like, no, wait a minute. Now come on.
Yeah.
Now, like I'm
Yeah.
comfortable here. Like this is
Yes.
good. You can trust me.
Yes.
And it's like, no, no, can't. And it's
And
like
the
you
the
did.
funny part, I thought it would, like, in my mind, I thought this 12 years ago, I was like, oh, this is going to be like in 3 months. And take about 3 months. And I was like a horse at the starting gate. And I was like, I'm ready to go. Okay, I'm ready. I don't know what I'm going to share, but I'm ready. And like 7 years went by before I was able to put all of those pieces together. So,
And the beautiful part though, it's sorry, my bell keeps ringing. The beautiful part is like it's the journey. Like I think sometimes we despise the journey, but the gems are in the journey. You know how I
yes.
don't know why I just pictured the cartoons back in the day, and it would be like the breadcrumbs and stuff that's left out, but it leads you to where you need to go. Like the gems are there. Like, and that's what the things that we may want to avoid or that we despise is actually what's creating
Yes.
growth. Like it's all that stuff. If it was easy and we didn't have to do the work, what did we really learn? What did
Right.
we really grow from? So
Right.
it's so uncomfortable in the
That's
moment. But
beautiful, Leah. Yeah.
7 years, like if you thought back to the 7 years and all that happened in between those years, like that's where Becky to 2024 Becky was made.
Yeah.
That's what's beautiful.
Yes.
I'm gonna take my own
Yes.
advice. I'm like, let me look back these last these
Yes.
last 15 years. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow.
I had to pause and write down the gems are in the journey because we're
Yes.
Mhm.
using
I
that.
know. I'm like, that
We're
is
using that.
fabulous. I
I
don't
just
have a
want you
pen.
to know. We're using that. The gems are in
Oh,
the journey. Because
Yes.
here's the thing. We this week so much has happened this week. And the thing that stands out from this conversation and the conversations I've been having this week is we have to really stop judging ourselves. We really do. We have to stop judging ourselves. We have to stop, being so critical and that shame part. Oh my goodness. And whatever it is, just know that I'm gonna be okay. Like nothing is ever as bad as it first appears. So we
Right.
have to. So the acronym for fear is really to face everything and rise. Because on the other side of it, like that thing that we fear is the thing that keeps us in freeze.
Yes.
The
Yes.
thing that we fear is the thing that keeps us in freeze. And so if we can just face it and say, so I had a conversation. I had so many conversations, but I had a conversation with my mom today, and she just said, I'm guilty. I take responsibility. I like,
Mhm.
and it was so much power in that because where do you go? Where do you go?
Yeah.
Like, and I don't know what I was expecting her to say. I don't even know if I had an expectation, but the fact that she said, I'm guilty, I take responsibility was the end of it, right? It was the end of it
Yeah.
because I now
Yeah.
have the responsibility to forgive and to let go.
Yes.
that's
Yes.
good.
That is really good. That is such an example. Like, great example for
Yes.
the entire world. Yeah.
That's good.
Without that, there's no growth. You can't grow without humility. So that's so
And
good.
I know that definitely makes me think about, I know the title we've been talking about, fear, growth, and empowering, and we're empowering ourselves, even having conversations like this. That's what this is about, this platform. Um, but what does it look like when we're working with a team, or when we're working with staff or others? What does it look like, right? So we have our self discovery. And so, right, thinking of the woman who came in who got the phone call, or, thinking of different people, or the people where Becky was 7 years ago. So, how do we navigate, being on our self journey and being able to empower others around us who we're also trying to help grow? So, what does that look like? Because what I love about what you said, Obiama, is if we, in any setting, imagine if we had two people who were ready and willing to take accountability. It was over after that. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
we both got what we needed. We both got what we needed. We're both able to grow from that. Cool. All right. I could just imagine both going about their day, having a good day because it was resolved. And that would be beautiful to get to a space where we can all take accountability. And I could imagine that in itself is empowerment. That, like, we
Mhm.
can leave empowered because, again, I'm not sure what the conversation was, but I could imagine that both sides got what they needed, at least to hear, or it just felt good for me to take accountability, whatever that is.
Right.
I wonder how we can kind of do that in group settings, whether that's work, in our clients, with our clients.
So here's the thing. Here's the thing. This is where the real work happens, because once she said that, and I was like, okay, love you, talk to you later. Here was the conversation I had with myself. Why did I bring that to her? What was I expecting?
Yeah, that's good. Taking accountability for yourself.
Yeah,
That
right.
was
Because I was like, okay, why? Because I wasn't bringing it to her. Now, this is so good what I'm getting ready to share with you guys, right? So much reflection and growth in this. I then paused and said, why did I bring that to her? What was I expecting? Because it wasn't about me judging her, and it wasn't about shame. However, I realized that the little girl in me showed up, and the little girl in me went into a place that felt like I wasn't being seen by my mom.
Mm.
So the little girl in me was like, mommy, what about me? What about me? You haven't seen me. Why you not? And my mom said to me, why do I need to say this? Why do I need to tell you this? And I said, because it's about acknowledgement, because I'm your only daughter, right?
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
she said, I'm guilty. I take responsibility. And it was over,
Huge. That's huge.
right?
Huge.
And
Yeah.
and so the work is acceptance, the work is grace, the work is forgiveness, the work, because I could have then, because of insecurity or unprocessed trauma or a healed place, wanted it to be more and make it more than it was. But
Mhm.
she took responsibility, and I had to take responsibility and say, okay, that was the little girl in me, but you can take the back seat, because the mature woman that I've become
Yes.
no longer needs that validation. The woman that I've evolved into can accept my mother's, accountability, and
Yeah.
squash it, and not need to have another conversation about it, not need to dwell in it, not need to talk about it, not need to say, you believe my mom. I don't need to do any of that, because she said I'm guilty.
Mhm.
I apologize. I take responsibility.
That's good. I think the enemy keeps it. That's one place we can just stay stuck. keeps us from moving on and doing the things that God has for us to do because we're just stuck. And I think women, I know men are real bad too. I hear it a lot, but women are very catty. And over the years, I've seen, I'm sure I've done it myself, but like being jealous or being, like you said, Obiama, like needy, like pretty needy. I'm pretty, like just all of these things. And those are things that just really keep us stuck if we allow them to, and we're not that self aware.
So here's the thing, in the workplace, as leaders, we have to be in such a healthy, healed place that we get to navigate those conversations to be able to pull the person to the side who wants to carry the conversation on and make it more than it is, to say, are you okay? And how can I support you? Because when the conversation continues, that means that they have unprocessed trauma, that they are still in a place of healing, right? The wound is still open. So when you think about it, when the conversation continues to go on and it's going from one person to the next person, the validation that they seek was not received.
Right. Right.
And then very similar to what the question you ended up asking of yourself, who, especially if we're talking about in the workplace, who are you seeking validation from? Right? I think thinking about so much of the self work that we're doing, right? We
Yes.
just went through that program where we learned a lot about, seeing deeper than kind of what you just said and did, right? And so
Yes.
what I could think about is being in the workplace. Sometimes I was talking to my daughter the other day, and I shared a live or video the other day just about me processing emotions and stuff and how I show up. I'm usually here all the time, and if I get here or there, I'm finding my way back here all the time. I'm like, nope. And so she's like, you do so well at that. But what I try to do is I try to remove this feeling that everything is about me. I'm usually looking at, okay, what is this? What is this really about? Like, what you're showing, whatever emotion you're showing, anger, frustration. Let me try to figure out, what is that really about? What are you really looking for? And I found, because I asked the question of an employee, like, tell me what it is that you need. And they're like, I don't know. And that's where this empowerment conversation too is going. Us as leaders, just kind of understanding the role that we play. And sometimes people don't know what they need, but
Right.
our role, which is why we always have to be continuously growing as individuals and as leaders, because if I got so emotionally triggered every time someone else gets upset, like, we are all doomed. We're just like the kids. We're no better than the kids in here.
Right.
The social emotional gets off. But if we at times can just remove that, and I think what the training taught was, so that it doesn't get so emotional and personal. The question is, what happened to you? Like, that is so powerful to me. Like, oh my, like seeing the little girl or
Mhm.
seeing the little boy in that adult, like, right, you're so much more tender, right? You're so much more understanding. You get down and you're like, oh my gosh, why are you crying?
Yeah.
Like, you get so much more patience,
Yeah.
understanding, empathy. Um, and I think that in itself can be empowerment. You empower someone else to be okay
For
with
sure.
sharing. Yes, yes,
Yeah.
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And so here's the dance in the workplace, and especially in the workplace, we need people to come as their whole self. And so when they come in fragments of themselves, that is what makes the workplace toxic and
Mhm.
messy and very soiled. So then you go from and I say this to my clients all the time, like, there's no place for emotions in business. There's no place for emotions in business. And while that is a true statement, this is why you as the leader cannot be the one who is having difficult conversations. This is why you, as a leader, really need to have a team that you can employ to handle tough
Yes.
conversations and to support the most vulnerable people so that they can get back to a place of wholeness. Because if you, the leader, are trying to be the counselor, the therapist, the HR, the lawyer, the mediator, that's not healthy for you.
Mm-mm.
So you have to know your place as the fearless leader so that you can navigate all the things and stay in the pilot seat. You
Yes.
can't be the grounds crewman. You can't be the what's the person that
When
walks?
they do the
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
traffic controller.
Your traffic control.
right. You can't be traffic controller. You can't be the groundsman, right? You can't be the stewardess, right? You have to be the pilot.
Yeah.
You have to be the
Yeah.
pilot.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
agreed. Yes. And now it goes back to that question of, right, why do we feel like we always have to answer the phone, or we have to be the traffic controller, or we feel always have to be all the people. There's times when I'm like, this is you thing. You got this because you're good at that. Right? Like, I know when it's not my area. That's
I
not my.
just started to say, I think sometimes as leaders, it's hard to delegate that, or it's hard to release that, to someone else. Like, because especially if it's your baby, if that's your baby and you put your heart into it, but, but operating operating under faith is key. Like, that's the key, because God will bring the people in to help you. And yeah, and he'll work that out, so you don't have to worry about it. So
And
And
it's
that goes
interesting you
back
say
to
that, because I told that to a woman the other. We were talking about, right, staffing crisis and all that, and she's like, well, how do you kind of handle the staffing thing? And I said, I'm gonna be very honest with you. I literally, like, I pray for my particular people. I literally
yes,
do. I'd share with her. We do post-it parties. I identify who I'm looking for, and I'm like,
yes,
God, if you remove those who are not for us and send us who we need, even if it's for a season, like, every single time. And so if people leave, or when people leave, then that was how it was supposed to be. All right,
yep,
Lord, you're preparing that person. You're getting them ready. Now, don't forget, we're looking for
yep,
this. Don't forget us, right? But literally, there is faith to send the right people, because I don't want just anybody. I want the people
yep,
you sent and prepared for us. And
yep,
and then what happens is, with how I personally got better with delegating, I don't want to have to handle all the stuff, because just like our babies, right? I raised my babies up to a point where they got to go to school. Somebody got
hmm,
to get ready to take on the kindergarten and the what's the name, and so I need to then prepare my people to handle my baby how I would handle them. And right, so no, it doesn't have to be
yes,
exactly the same way, because I know my village. I have a village, and everybody isn't the same. I knew
right,
I knew when I got around particular aunts, it was like, now you can't, that won't fly with her.
yeah,
With particular people, but we want that diversity so that
hmm,
we have the people who, we have families, we have children, and we have staff who resonate with particular people, right?
hmm,
Obiama, I will call you for particular trainings, or for particular things. I'd be like, that's not a me thing. That is not a me thing. And
yeah,
so we have to be able to call on the people who can really connect with people,
yes,
so that the growth can happen. Because sometimes, right, depending on what we need, right? I go to a particular specialist or a doctor for particular things.
yes,
It's not for
eh,
everybody. Not for everybody.
right,
Yeah.
And look, and I think this is such a great way to kind of put a bow on this, because to the point that you just made, I think about when we go into like a hospital, right? The hospital is for sick people, right? But you have a cardiologist, you have a pulmonary specialist, right? You have respiratory, right? You have all of these doctors that operate. You have the surgeon, you have all these things. And so whoever, think about it this way, this is so good. whoever decided to open up the hospital, like that thought, like, let's go there in terms of the team. So thinking about this as an employer, as a leader, as an administrator, it's like running a hospital. So we have the person that's in charge of the hospital, and the person has to have enough foresight in order to be able to forecast and project how the needs of the people that's going to come in, and then the people that needs to be in place and employed to service, right, those that are coming in who are wounded. I'm
This is the
dropping
whole
it right.
word, like whole word right there.
I'm
Right?
dropping it right there.
Right? Mic drop. No kidding. Yeah, for sure.
It's so good. It's so good.
That is so good.
Oh, that was good. That was good. That's visionary. That's a visionary right there.
Yeah,
That's
for
what you got to
sure.
do.
You guys are awesome. I'm just like, I'm loving it. I'm just taking it in. Like, this is so good. It's fun. It's
And
fun.
this is this is what this platform was for. All the stuff we were talking about. I know all the stuff I said wasn't premeditated. I don't know. It's like, oh, I didn't even know. I'm
Right?
gonna come back and watch the episode. Like, yes.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So Becky, I want to make sure that the people know how to contact you. Do you have anything coming up that we can support you in? Yeah, where can everyone find you as well?
So you can find me every Wednesday morning with Kat and Heather on Your Fearless Journey podcast. That is on, you can go on any platform that you like to listen. Spotify is my favorite, but on Facebook, you can find us too. You can find me on social media, or you can go to my website, growwithbecky.com. It's easy, so no one has to spell out Mitchell. So, but you can find it by beckymitchell.com, but go growwithbecky.com. And yeah, I love sharing my message. Things that are coming up. I got a lot of stuff coming up, but come hang out at the podcast. And usually we try to put the stuff that we're doing out. So every Wednesday morning. So
I love it. I love it. Thank you so
yeah,
much for
it's
coming
fun.
and sitting in the Impact Podcast
Oh my
chair.
gosh. It
And
was awesome. Thank you guys so much for having me. I wish I just came in on a whim, like literally I came in on a flight. I'm like kind of like, but but
Real
I'm having
people,
fun.
real
It's good.
conversations, real resources.
that's our
Yes.
tagline. Real people, we want all of that. All of that.
Yeah.
All the authenticity, because that's what we resonate with, and that's what our community needs. And we appreciate your time and all your wisdom that
Yeah.
you shared. Guys, let us know, your reflections, your thoughts, what came up for you during this episode. Tell us about your alter ego, or tell us where your fear lied historically, right? Because we're not holding on to that fear, and we're going to change that energy so we can propel ourselves. Empower yourself so you can empower your team and be successful.
Yes.
That's it.
Yes.
That's that
Yes.
on that. Have an amazing day. See you guys soon. Thank you for joining us on the Impact Podcast.